So today I'm at London's oldest church, which is All Hallows by the Tower, and I actually stumbled across this place completely by accident. I was actually heading for the Tower of London when I saw this church sign saying that it was the oldest church in London, and I tried the door and here we are. So I checked out the history on this absolutely stunning church. All Hallows by the Tower is an early medieval Anglican church, and it was founded in AD 675, which is actually a whopping 300 years before the Tower of London. The church not only survived the Great Fire of London in 1666, but it was also badly damaged during the Blitz in World War II. Following extensive reconstruction, it was rededicated in 1957. This little area here is called the Mariner's Chapel, and the wood from the crucifix in the Mariner's Chapel comes from the Cutty Sark, and the ivory figure is said to come from the captain's cabin on the flagship of the Spanish Armada. You will actually find quite a lot of nautical references in this church as we continue. The reason that this church even survived the Great Fire of London was down to the heroic efforts of one man. Admiral Penn pretty much saved this church single-handedly by ordering his sailors to blow up the surrounding building so that the fire could not reach the church. Along with his friend Samuel Pepys, he watched the fire of London take hold from the Tower of All Hallows. Being located right next to the Tower of London, this church also saw its fair share of beheaded bodies. During the 16th and 17th century, the church acted as a temporary depository for the bodies of those that were beheaded on Tower Hill. That included the bodies of Sir Thomas More and Archbishop Laud. Here you can see the effigy of Reverend Philip T.B. Clayton, otherwise known as Tubby, who was vicar for this church from 1922 to 1962. He actually founded the Tokhate International Christian movement, for which All Hallows is still the guild church today. For 50 pence, you can light your own candle with a prayer in the church. I really wanted to do one, but I just didn't have 50 pence on me, unfortunately. This is one of the church's most infamous items. It's the Shackleton's crow's nest, and it's from the ship the Quest, which Sir Ernest Shackleton used for his third and last Antarctic voyage in 1921 and 1922. The ship was waved off from St Catherine's Dock, which is just around the corner from the church. There is also a museum downstairs in the crypt. Down to the crypt. Oh, it's quite spooky. There was this totally surprising museum down in the crypt, which was, again, completely free to enter. There's so much amazing free stuff to do in London. And there's lots of interesting artefacts down here. So here we are approaching the Crusades altar. And this altar is made partly from stones from Castle Althvit in Palestine. This was the final mainland Templar stronghold in the Holy Land during the Crusades that was evacuated in 1291. The stones were given to the church in 1940. There was definitely a spooky energy down here. I'm very empathic when it comes to spiritual energies, and I definitely felt there's a lot of history down here in this crypt. This item here is the cistern, and the vicar of the church in the early 1700s hid all the parish records in here to keep them safe. They were discovered 200 years later in 1923. Here you can see a map of Roman London that was made in 1928. It includes a defensive perimeter wall, fort, and the Walbrook River running through the middle. The crypt features areas of Roman pavement along with other artefacts that were discovered below the church in 1926 and 27. Unfortunately, I didn't know that they were there until I was making this video and researching it, so do remember to look down when you're there, unlike me. The exhibition also contains the church's registers dating back to the 16th century, and they have framed pictures of notable entries, including the baptism of William Penn and the marriage of John Quincy Adams. Just before leaving the church, one of the final things you see is this Saxon arch, and it's thought to date from the time of the first stone church that immediately followed the original Saxon wooden one. It's made partly from recycled Roman tiles and stones, and it was actually revealed by the bomb during the Blitz. There's also a hanging piece of metal that you can see on the left here, and that piece has been kept as a reminder of the Blitz. So that's it for this wonderful church. Do visit, it's totally free, and I hope you will join me for some more of my travels.